Welcome to Investors Hangout, brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Today's topic, how you can teach your children the basics of money management. To answer the questions that you have today and also to discuss this particular topic, we have with us, as usual, Dhirendra Kumar. Dhiren, we welcome you to Investors Hangout, and of course, you know, Dhirendra is the CEO of Value Research. Dhiren, we have summer vacation on these days, and a lot of parents put their children to, you know, hobbies, into some skill development. Why can't they have a skill development when it comes to finances, financial skill development for the children?
I think the first step should be that, you know, at least informing kids about how to use money.
Okay.
What role it plays,
Okay.
how can you derive happiness, you know, the role of money and happiness, the connection bit. It is not necessarily, because I have seen my very young kids growing up, till they really understood, you know, the worth of things.
Okay.
It was not necessarily expensive toys which gave them joy. You know, it could be just anything. So, you know, so money has a role. Money has a very important role, but not necessarily the kind of role that we attach with that. Spending money itself will derive, you know, get you happiness. That I think, you know, is the first lesson. The other is that, you know, we create a lot of there is a lot of secrecy around money. Normally, I grew up in a family where I didn't know whether we were rich or poor. And basically, it was the environment. It was the way we were growing up, or the social structure that parents did not tell about kids. And I think, you know, this is something you can do without learning a lot of things, but you can't do without learning about money, the role it plays, the way to save, how it grows, how it works, and why investing is important, and the phase of life, equity, debt, what role it plays. So, you know, those could be more sophisticated concepts. But I think to begin with, even telling children about the very basic stuff that if you spend money on things you don't need, then you will not have money for things which you actually need. So that itself can be, you know, and what role money plays in your future.
You touched upon a very interesting aspect, that when it comes to our kids, we want to shield them. We don't want them to be anxious about money matters. But how true is it? At what age should we, you know, or how do we get the kids involved in the financial matters? What age is a good age for them to be taught about the financial management?
The moment they start understanding that, you know, and it could be early nowadays, because kids are growing up faster with given the, you know, given the scale of information available all around us. Not only that, kids are very perceptive. So it is just imparting the basic, you know, values about money, that don't be wasteful, and so you will have all the resources for anything important. And working within a budget, you may be in a household which may not have enough. So how to prioritize things? Prioritizing things itself can actually, because today you can actually have a cell phone, a smartphone, for anywhere ranging between, you know, 5,000 to 50,000, or maybe much more. And if a kid thinks that, you know, he's being taken care of well only if he gets the most expensive one, that may be a wrong thing. You know, that itself, you know, somewhere imbibing the value in terms of the benefit that you derive, relating to it. So basic stuff, and the cost, how it matters, what it can translate into if it is not spent. This basic information, and keeping transparency and imbibing the value that, you know, value for money. This particular concept that there is enough resources for anything that you need, but just be thoughtful. Let us not be impulsive. You can be impulsive about, you know, some small consumption, whatever, on a holiday. I'm not saying that, you know, be extremely cautious about any spending, but generally speaking, just giving, I think one thing which, you know, even at 4 or 5 years old, for a 4 or 5 year old kid, giving 500 rupee and asking him to keep accounts, work on a budget, entrusting him, and, you know, trusting him with that money, and giving him responsibility of keeping account of, you know, keeping track of his spending, reviewing it himself. a self-review and accordingly changing plans. So a child will be able to understand thoughtfully that what is important, what is not, what could have been avoided, and why he can actually have more resources for something else which he really likes. So giving the basic inputs in terms of what is important, what is not, and self-appreciation, provoking a child into self-appreciation of the spending that he's doing. That itself will be a significant thing.
So finances should not be a taboo at all.
Absolutely.
And how do we explain the flow of money to them?
You don't need to explain it. It's obvious that we earn, we save, or if we don't earn, then we are eating into our savings, and it'll finish in some time, or it'll come to an end. You will be able to consume all your money in a finite time frame. So this much I think every child will be able to understand it. Keeping them informed about how to make your money grow, how to spend wisely, and how to put your surplus in a manner that you can optimally, you can enhance return on that, and giving the very basic thought that saving is important. We will not be working at the same pace all our life, and there'll be a phase of life when the child will be dependent. There'll be a phase of life when the child will be earning, and there'll be a phase when he will have to depend on the money which was saved during his phase of earning. Will have to take care of in the phase when he will not work, and when he will not earn. And that is the phase when he has to prepare for those long period, and that period could be very long. And you will have absolutely no control on the circumstances. You will have to err on the side of caution. You will have to, and just having this basic thought that assuming that somebody is going to live for 100 years, 20 years he will be dependent on his parents, next 40 years he will work, and another 40 years he will have to live on those earnings which he, and if he has to prepare for that, how to do it? How to do it in a manner that he eliminates the risk of outliving his savings, being financially, and what money actually does. If you think in terms of the biggest thing which your savings, your attitude to savings and investment does is it gets you freedom. You may have enough, you may inherit which will be which might be more than enough, but having more than enough actually gives you a choice. Otherwise you'll be forced to do things you may not like. But if you have this this margin of error, or if you have some savings, investments, then it gives you freedom. You can try out things and explore things, and do and focus on things only what you like. So money gets you freedom. Don't think in terms of money can get you the physical stuff, or you can buy this or you can buy that. Most of the time, it crosses our mind that if you kaun banega crorepati, or if you have $1 million, we think in terms of the joy of $1 million, that how to spend it. It's not that. I think you need to look at it a little differently. It will get you freedom of choice, of doing things, and more importantly, not doing things which you don't like.
So what you mentioned, all this to a grown-up sounds okay. It has a lot of merit to the whole thing. But what about kids? How should we go about training them about money? I remember the good old days of having a piggy bank.
Good luck, yes.
Good luck, leke aao, so paise dalo. How should we go about, if you would like to elaborate on that?
For a very young kid, I think incentives work. So if you give a 100 rupee pocket money to a kid, and he's able to save 20 rupee out of it, he should still get that 100 rupee, and 20 rupee should be deposited in his over and above that 20 rupee, give him some incentive for saving that.
So that's a home banking.
Incentivize it, and he should own it, he should keep it, he should be incentivized for saving. If he is able to do that, then he can act, and that could be targeted to a big spending which the kid might, which the child might have, and he can accelerate it. Set up a target that you will get this thing, or your PS3 or something, accordingly provide a budget, and his savings can actually accelerate the whole actualization of that goal. That will be a good enough training. Piggy bank, a budget, ability to save, and if he is able to save, incentivize that saving. That will turn out to be.
How do you explain to him the benefits of compounding?
that he will learn over a period. This itself, because giving this incentive system, that in fact he will understand compounding very well quickly with this incentive system, because if you save 20 rupee and you get another 20 rupee, it doubles. And so next month he will try to save actually 50 rupee to accelerate his saving for his own goal. So he will understand compounding much faster. And then at an appropriate age, opening a bank account, explaining basic stuff, and he will understand it. It is part of our class 8th curriculum in arithmetic. Okay. This is something which should be done in a little more elaborate way as part of our while we are still in school. It could well be a part of our arithmetic and a more elaborate subject of personal finance.
Perhaps parents would have to consciously role play into teaching them about perils of borrowing or compounding or bank. Sort of.
A child just needs 2-3 things. He should fall in habit of saving. So he should always be in a state where he has little more than enough. Otherwise, as I was growing up, we were just we were done by 25th of every month, and last 5 days of a month was waiting for the remittance from home while I was staying alone. So of course those were days which were very different. You really lived in on a very tight budget, so trying to live within your means and having little more than enough, having that emergency fund of 200 rupee, 500 rupee, depending on your, so that's one state. That itself is good enough. Then the second stage is the moment you have credit card, you think that you have just got a lottery, and that is the understanding what it is and what it is not. Credit card is not meant for credit; it is meant for convenience. Okay. And it should be the credit of available from a credit card should be used in extreme emergency, for your friend in hospital if you don't have a choice. Otherwise, it's the most expensive credit. You can never earn the kind of money that you pay on your credit card outstanding. That's a horrible thing. So every kid should be allowed to get into that credit, and one should help him and encourage him to get out of it, because unless you understand, that is basically a reverse of compounding. That if you are ever out of budget, and if you borrow money at a very expensive rate of interest, then you can never get out of that, get out of that debt trap. You create a debt trap, and that can actually take you back by many years. So understanding this basic thing, that what is meant for different things, how to use credit card, how to use bank account, why you should invest, where to put your emergency fund. But the starting point is living within your means and having the saving, because if you don't have the saving, nothing else happens.
So make sure, as Benjamin Franklin said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So make sure you start teaching your kids about how to go about investing, how to go about saving. As Dhiren said, home banking is what you need to start with.